Well, it's an election year. Inflation pressures, market volatility, and increasing taxes are all top concerns for investors and retirees. Investment advisor Brian Myro joins us today. And let's start with market volatility, Brian. What is your advice for investors right now as we enter into another election year?
Well, Nicole, I'm glad to be here today. And, the markets have been good this year so far, but there are always concerns when we're in an election year. First of all, you don't want to panic. Historically, the markets perform well in election years, dating back from 1928 all the way to 2016. The S&P averaged over 10%. And you need to make sure that your investments are balanced and they line up with your risk tolerance. And if you have not done a risk assessment, you need to make sure that you do that. You also want to maintain a long-term perspective with your investments rather than consistently reacting to the ups and downs of the market. And do not get emotional. We have to tell ourselves not to get excited when the markets go up or get nervous when the markets go down. You only experience the loss of a market downturn when you sell. And historically, the markets typically recover after there's a downturn.
Well, what about inflation, Brian? President Joe Biden said it himself this week that prices are still way too high.
Well, Nicole, much of the inflation for the year will be decided by the Feds. The next Fed meeting on interest rates is in March, and experts predict that they're going to cut rates again this year. Now, I know I feel inflation most when I'm at the grocery store or getting gas. Stuff just costs more. And even though inflation numbers have come down, we're still feeling it. The best thing people can do right now is to plan to deal with inflation, as it's probably not going away anytime soon. And here's a couple of things that you might want to consider when you're dealing with inflation. You want to check your spending patterns and ask yourself, are you consistent? And, that ties into your budget. And do you have a good firm budget in place? And you also want to look at the cost of living in different areas and different communities and be strategic about that.
But what about taxes and the impact that the election will have?
Well, the Tax and Jobs Act expires at the end of 2025, and that means higher tax rates and lower estate tax exemptions. Now, that's one reason why the 2024 election is so important. Now, according to many analysts, if the Republicans sweep, they will most likely want to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act for another 8 to 10 years. Now, if the Democrats sweep, they mostly will like to move in the opposite direction, reviving the tax increases that were part of the Build Back Better effort in 2022. What's most likely to happen is that there's going to be some split in the power scenario after the election. And that means tax policy post 2025 is entirely up in the air. Now, remember, once tax reform is on the table, everything's on the table. And this is something we're going to watch closely.
So, Brian, what can investors and retirees do in the meantime to prepare for tax changes?
Well, Nicole, you got to look at strategies available to you and to be as tax efficient as possible. Now, today, I'm offering a free in-depth tax analysis for our viewers. And in the tax analysis, we identify opportunities to become more efficient against taxes in the future. Now, many times we can identify strategies to reduce thousands of dollars in taxes throughout retirement. And Nicole, one more thing. We're still offering a free complimentary copy of my book titled Smart Money for the Backside of Life for anyone wanting to set a visit. And in my book, I discuss many aspects of retirement that folks deal with on the backside of life.
Well, all you have to do is text RETIRE to 915-233-2904 for your free tax analysis, and you can set a visit to receive a copy of Brian's new book, Smart Money for the Backside of Life. Again, that number, 915-233-2904. You can text RETIRE. You can also visit their website, www.myrocapital.com/TV. Brian, as always, it's a pleasure.
Nicole, thanks for having me today.
Have a good afternoon.